Hello everybody. This is my first moto vlog, and I do not have great audio recording or video recording gear yet. I'm kind of trying this out, seeing if it's worth my time and effort. I will upgrade my gear if I think it is, and I welcome your feedback. So be patient with this. I know the audio quality is not great. Anyway, I want to get on to the video, and here we go.
All right, we're going to try something new today. I'm going to go out on a ride. I'm going to bring you all with me. I'm rocking the old school fingerless gloves because it's really hot today. Motorcycle safety. I've been riding for a very long time. I got my first bike when I was a little kid. One of those little Honda, I think they call them monkey bikes or mini bikes. Little tiny kind of semi-off-road scrambler bike. Mine was silver, probably a late 70s model. I found a picture of it one time, and then I promptly lost it. I'll try to find that picture again and post it alongside this video, or at least something like it. Anyway, so yeah, I was riding motorcycles, mini bikes anyway. I don't know, I was probably younger than 10, maybe younger than that, who knows. And I've tried to have some kind of two-wheel transportation ever since then. I love riding bikes. I had an uncle who was a big motorcycle guy, and I think one of the most exciting parts about my childhood was when he would come by and he would take turns putting all the grandkids on his bike. He'd take us around, do a little swoopy stuff, and then he'd drop us off and take the next kid. And I always thought he was pretty cool. Shout out to you, Uncle Jim. You started all this, I think. Anyway, had cousins that rode, lived out in the country, rode dirt bikes. Yeah, I just always loved motorcycles. Couldn't wait to get my own. When I was in the Air Force, as soon as I possibly could, like I was still in training. I got out of basic training. I was in tech school. And as soon as I possibly could, I went and got a bike. I found a dealership that was foolish enough to loan I think probably 18-year-old kid. They gave me a payment plan. I'm sure that in this military town, they sold a lot of bikes to a lot of young military guys. It kind of goes hand in hand. Motorcycles, pawn shops, and strip clubs. One thing you'll find around every Air Force base, Army base, Navy base, any military installation. They put me on a bike. It was a Honda Shadow. I want to say it was a 1986, 1989 maybe? I don't really remember. That's weird. I need to think about that. I want to say it was an 86 Honda Shadow. Yeah, that sounds about right. And man, I loved that bike. In hindsight, I had the choice between that bike and a Magna. And I liked the look of the Shadow better because I didn't know a whole lot about that range of Honda bikes. Turns out I would have been much happier on the Magna. The Magna's a V4, a lot more power, a lot sportier bike. They were about the same price. I think the Magna might have even been cheaper, or at least it wasn't very much more expensive. And that was interesting. Lost a little traction back there. Could be that my tires aren't quite warmed up. Could be that well, first of all, my tires are bad right now. I've currently got one on order, a new front anyway. My back tire's okay, but I may replace it fairly soon as well. Anyway. So yeah, I got my first bike. I wish I got the Magna, but I was plenty happy on my Shadow. I drove all up and down the California coast. I was hanging out in Monterey is where I was stationed, but I went all the way up to Oregon, and then I went all the way down to the very bottom of California. I drove that bike everywhere. And rain, sun, wind, rain, didn't matter. I was on that bike. And that's where I have been riding since I was a kid. But that was my first real motorcycle, right? That was my first real bike. And that's where I made all my mistakes. That's where I learned all my valuable lessons. That's where I got lucky many times. Got really lucky. Because, I was an inexperienced rider. I was a young, dumb kid. Wasn't scared of nothing. And it took me a while. I had to learn to ride within my limits. I had to learn to be a good, safe rider. And I just got a lot of saddle time. I got a lot of time in the saddle. I probably did, I don't know, several thousand miles a year at least. And, California is beautiful riding weather, at least in that part of the country. So it's not inclement too often. It's actually pretty nice most of the year. I was there for 2 years, and I doubt more than a day or two went by without me being on the bike. So I got a lot of riding in. I'm the kind of motorcycle guy that, transportation, sure, but if I'm just feeling a little low, if I'm feeling down that day, hop on the bike and I'll feel better. It's very inexpensive therapy when it comes down to it. I always look for an excuse to ride. Never need an excuse to ride. Get out there and do it. Safety gear. I'm older now. I'm in my 40s. And even back then, I wore safety gear back then, honestly, as much for comfort as anything. Like, I had an open-face helmet. I spent a lot of time on the highway. I figured that a full-face helmet would be more comfortable. And it is. It's a lot more comfortable on the highway. You don't have bugs and rocks and rain and stuff hitting you in the face all the time. And so, I didn't wear a full-face helmet because I was a safety geek. I wore it because it was more comfortable on the highway. In town, I would still wear my half helmet or my open-face helmet. I'm still that way to an extent now. In fact, if I wasn't recording today, if I wasn't trying out this, blog post, I'd probably be wearing my half helmet. Yeah, I know. You guys, those half helmets are not as protective. There's no question about it. When you come off your bike in a wreck, you need to have some kind of protection on your head. But a lot of crashes, I think 30%, involve the lower face. And if you have a, hard plastic and foam in front of your face, that's a lot better than going face first into the ground. So yeah, should I wear a full face all the time? Probably should. I probably should. I like the convenience of popping on a half helmet, especially going around town where I know I'm going to be under 55. I know I'm going to be, cruising inside streets. Riding in town tends to be more dangerous for motorcyclists than riding on the highway because intersections and cars and everything else. So what happens is that there's more wrecks at low speed, right? You've got a lot more wrecks in town because you have so many more cars, so much higher density of traffic, so many more intersections, so many more cars backing out in front of you, etc. That doesn't happen on the highway. But on the highway, if you do go down, you go down at 70 miles an hour, twice, 3 times as fast as you would in town. So it's a very different mechanism of injury often on the road. And I do consider that when I'm gearing up for the day. If I know I'm going on the highway, I'm much more likely to put on more protection and wear a full-face helmet. A, for comfort. I don't like having my face in the wind that much. Having a beard helps, though, let me tell you. But yeah, I'll consider that. If I know I'm going down the street on a milk run, literally, will I put on every piece of gear I own? Probably not. And I know the mentality of, well, yeah, if you knew you were going to have a wreck, you wouldn't ride that day. Valid, You never know what's going to happen. You never know when that guy's going to be dumb and pull out in front of you, or you're going to be dumb and misjudge a turn or misjudge your stop and go down. If you could predict your accidents, you'd never have one. So you need to be wearing the gear. You don't have time mid-flight to wish, oh man, I really wish I'd worn my gloves today. So things I don't ride without, I ride with gloves on, If you've ever tripped and fallen while running and skinned your hands up, now imagine doing that at 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. And you see crash videos where guys put their hands down. A lot of armchair quarterbacks, a a lot of fantasy wish fulfillment. Oh, well, I wouldn't put my hands down. I'm smarter than that. I wouldn't try to catch myself. I just roll out of it. Maybe. You might have the presence of mind to tuck up and roll. If you've done any crash, practice, if you're a dirt bike rider or you've done sport courses where you have the capability of coming off the bike and rolling safely, yeah, you might have the presence of mind to keep your hands in to roll out of a crash. But if you watch crash videos, and I suggest that all riders watch crash videos, watch. It happens so fast. 1 second, you're on the brakes trying to avoid the car that just stops in front of you. The next second, you're flying through the air at whatever speed your bike was going. And you hit, and before you know it, you're on your way to the ground, and your hands go out in front of you. That's just how it is, man. And you don't have the time to think. Your body reacts so fast, so instinctually, that you're going to put your hands out. So, if you are going to put your hands out and come into contact with the asphalt going 35 miles an hour, you want to have heavy gloves on, right? Especially across the palm, good knuckle protection, etc. And, riding with gloves is safer. It's easier. You have protection on your hands. So a lot of riders will wear helmet and gloves. But everything else, jacket, pants, boots. Boots, man. A lot of guys riding in Nikes. A lot of girls riding in Nikes. 20% of y'all keep it going up. Don't. Wear some kind of heavy-duty footwear. I was recently reading an article by a trauma surgeon talking about motorcycle accidents that he'd seen. And he talked about, obvious things, wearing a helmet, wearing leather gear. But he said that one thing that motorcyclists just don't seem to think about is their feet. And the fact that the feet are often injured in a motorcycle crash, and we don't really think about that. Well, first of all, you low side, your foot gets trapped between your bike and the ground and gets ground to hamburger. That is a very, very common problem. Car side swipes you, crushes your foot between their car and the bike. That's another common injury. And then you watch crash videos of guys wearing Nikes, and the first thing that happens, their shoes go flying off, right? Now you're flying through the air, you're about to come down on the ground, sometimes feet first, and you're going 40 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour. And your feet, which are all nice and soft because we all wear shoes, come into contact with the concrete, and it'll tear the bottom of your feet right off. And I can show you the accident videos. I might link to some of those below. Low speed crashes. You don't have to be going fast. If your skin comes in contact with the concrete, going anything faster than a walk, you can tear that skin off. So wear some boots, man. Motorcycle boots are great. The only real difference between motorcycle boots and a good heavy work boot, motorcycle boots tend to have padding over the outside of the ankle, and sometimes a protective disc there. Can't think of the name of that bone all of a sudden. Other than that, they tend to be, fairly well made, leather or, very tough ballistic nylon, and they stay on. They tend to have a higher calf, the higher the better. The higher it is, the less likely it is to get ripped off your foot in a crash. Personally, I wear leather combat boots because I've got a lot of them. After looking at, mechanism of injury, I'm thinking about putting some armor over that ankle bone, a bit of foam, a little bit of extra leather. I might put some extra leather across the outside, in the area where it would land and slide. Even though I've got, fairly thick, heavy leather boots, a little bit of extra doesn't hurt, and I'm a leather worker, so I need no big deal. But yeah, get on some boots. Don't ride in sneakers. Don't ride in flip-flops unless you don't want to walk again. Put some boots on, lace them up, get them tight. Get them tight, real tight, because you do not want them flying off in a crash. You don't want to land feet first and get your bottom of your feet torn off. I can show you that video. Low speed crash, guy wasn't going fast. Somewhere in Bangladesh wearing flip-flops and shorts. Tore both of his hands off, tore both of the bottom of his feet off. The skin on his hands, not his whole hand. And that's a very difficult injury to recover from. You do not want that, man. So yeah, it's all about minimizing the amount of damage. You know, wearing all the heavy gear won't save you from broken bones. It won't save you from any injury. But you can absolutely minimize the injuries you get. You can bring that level of injury down, down, down. Jeans aren't great. Jeans tend to tear as soon as you hit the ground, leaving your knees open to abrasion and damage. You know, riding pants are best. I do see motorcycle pants seem to be the last thing that riders get, and I understand that myself. You know, I've never actually owned a pair of motorcycle pants. I've always had helmets, I've always had jackets, I've always had gloves and boots. But I've never had motorcycle pants. Why? Well, number one, I tend to order a lot of my stuff online. It's easier to order a jacket that fits than a pair of pants that fit. Right? I've got a big old dump truck ass. And even when I'm in shape, which I'm not right now, my ass and thighs tend to make buying pants difficult. So that means I got to go try them on. Well, you go to the motorcycle shop, and they've only got a couple of different brands and a couple of different styles. And, you know, I literally just did this. I went into the motorcycle shop in my town, one of them anyway, tried on some gear, it didn't fit. You know, you can't buy pants if they don't fit. So, you know, can I do the Amazon thing? Sure. And I'm going to try to go online and order some pants based on their sizing chart to see if I can find something that fits and do the hassle of sending stuff back and forth until I find a pair that fits. I would like to have a pair of, you know, special purpose motorcycle pants. In the meantime, because I am a leather worker, because I do crafting stuff, I'm going to take a pair of heavy work pants that I have. So motorcycle jeans, the jean part is just jeans. They're just your Levi's. Sometimes it's a little bit of quality than your Levi's. It's a little heavier denim. But it's just jean material, man. What makes the motorcycle pants is on the inside, they will have Aramid, which is just generic Kevlar. They'll have reinforcement Aramid Kevlar in the knee, on the hip, and in the seat area. That's where you tend to hit and slide. They'll also have foam armor in the knee and the hip, usually. Sometimes they'll have it over the tailbone, but that's a little bit more uncommon. So, being the crafty person that I am, I have a lot of heavy work pants. I'm going to take a pair of those work pants and modify them. You can buy Aramid online. You know, if you know how to sew or you know somebody that knows how to sew, you can buy Kevlar fabric or Aramid fabric and you can duplicate riding pants. You can put Aramid in the knees and the seat and the hip. You can put in pads in the knee, the seat, and the hip. And you can make your own riding jeans out of jeans that you know already fit you. So I've got the pair that I'm wearing right now, fit me really well. They have enough space in them for padding, and they're a really tough, heavy canvas. It's a good candidate for making these into riding jeans. And at some point I'll detail how I do that, how I sew on the pockets, how I sew on the reinforcement, you know, because it is hard. I understand that it's hard to find motorcycle gear that fits you. And it should fit you well because it's got to be comfortable. And it's got to be, you know, if you're going to wear it, it's got to be comfortable. So there's that. So yeah, I know. Motorcycle pants tend to be the last thing that people get, but it shouldn't be. You really should get a pair of motorcycle pants by hook or crook because knees, you know. I don't see as much hip injury in these videos. I do watch a lot of crash videos. I'll explain why in a bit here. I see a lot of knee injury. A lot of guys go down and hit their knee first, and their jeans tear wide open, and they're left there naked to the wind, rubbing their knees across the asphalt, and that is not good. That's not good. So if you can't get motorcycle pants, you know, there's other options. You can wear under your clothing. You can wear knee pads, and they make special purpose, you know, motorcycle, motocross, motorsport knee pads that you put on, right? You put them on like running tights. They're made out of spandex, and then they have the knee pocket for a pad and a hip pocket for a pad. You can wear those under your jeans. You can wear those under whatever you're currently riding in. That's at least better than nothing, right? And it's not going to have the abrasion resistance. It's not going to have the Kevlar between the pad and the road, which is important because those pads are only so tough, right? If those pads hit and slide, they're going to get torn down pretty quickly. So you do want abrasion resistance on the outside of that pad, but it's better than nothing. You can also go with full-on, plastic and foam crash gear. And it's cheap, man. Go on Amazon and look for motorcycle armor. And they make full upper body units that have chest, shoulders, elbow, arm. You put it all on like a shirt, and then you put on your flannel shirt, and you want to look cool. Awesome. Underneath that flannel shirt, you're wearing full motorcycle armor. And that plastic has really good abrasion resistance, right? It'll hit and slide. Slide a little too much maybe, but better than your skin. And they make the same thing for your legs. You have knee and hip armor that you can put on like, leggings, and that's good. So that's an option if you guys can't find motorcycle pants that fit, or you don't want to wear motorcycle pants. That's an option. So yeah, I'm stopped behind a guy on a bike, and he's kind of everything I've been telling you guys not to do, right? He's wearing shorts and flip-flops. He's got a t-shirt on. He has a helmet that I'm pretty sure was made in about 76. And not just a vintage style, but I mean, that helmet was actually made in 76. He has a passenger on, riding pillion. She's not wearing flip-flops. She's riding slides, which I guess they're not any worse than flip-flops. Shorts and a t-shirt. And it seems like she's got a helmet on. She's probably wearing his helmet. If I was to do a little prognostication, I'd say she's probably wearing his helmet. He's wearing some old helmet that he had in the garage from his grandfather. And, they're going around town. How much risk are they experiencing right now? Well, medium. They're probably going to get where they're going safely. They're probably going to get there, and it was a fun little ride, and everything was cool, and it's a hot day. It's like 80 degrees right now. Honestly, it's 80 degrees, and I'm wearing full gear. I'm wearing a mesh jacket, so as long as I'm moving, honestly, the new mesh jackets, man, they are so nice. When I was first wearing gear, and I used to wear, a lot of heavy leather. I still wear heavy leather in the wintertime. But, my first real motorcycle jacket, thick, heavy leather, man. And in the summertime, whether you were riding or stopped, it was hot, and you sweated, and it was not comfortable, and it was not fun, and I wore it anyway. The mesh jacket that I'm wearing right now, this is not an expensive jacket. This is made by Built. I think it costs like $180. When I'm moving, it's almost like I'm not wearing a jacket. The wind flows right through it. It flows through the arms. It flows through the chest area. I would not be much cooler on a 100-degree day without this jacket on when I'm moving. Now, stopped, yeah, it's not great. I get that. But believe me, not having skin is also not great. So I'll take the trade-off of being a little hot, being a little sweaty, so I can keep my skin on my body where I like it. But yeah, get a mesh jacket. If it's hot in the summertime, get mesh. If it's just too hot to wear mesh, get one of those, the things I was talking about earlier, where it's a set of armor that you wear under your clothing or over your clothing. I see guys wearing back protectors and, shoulder armor over a t-shirt all the time. It's better than nothing. It really is. Nothing is wearing a t-shirt and shorts. And if you go down, you are going to get hurt. I don't care how fast you're going. Unless you're a ninja and you can spring up onto the car in front of you like that dude in Russia. If you go down in shorts and a t-shirt, you're going to have a bad time. And so that was my point with that setback there. And I'm going to get a forward-facing camera so y'all can see what I'm talking about when I'm doing these rides. I see that combination all the time. Guy and his girlfriend, guy and his wife, whatever, on bikes. Nobody's wearing gear. She's got sandals on a motorcycle with her feet, 3 inches from that back tire, a couple inches from the chain. And if you look online, you can find some really nasty pictures of what happens to a human foot when it gets caught in a tire or a chain or gets drug on the ground. And yeah, it's fun and it's cool and they're going to be fine, and nothing bad will happen. And they'll do it again tomorrow and the next day. I'm not wishing ill on anybody. especially another motorcyclist. I'm not hoping these guys crash and get hurt. When I see guys go by without gear, and the roads around here are rough. The roads around here are very rough. When I see someone go by without gear on, I'm not hoping that they get hurt. I'm not shaking my head, thinking, yeah, I can't wait till you go down, buddy. No. I wish them the best. I hope they have an epiphany moment where they wake up and they say, oh my God, I've gotten really lucky so far in my life. I'm going to go buy some riding gear. Seriously. Get a mesh jacket. I know that they were wearing those clothes because it's hot out. Maybe they were down at the beach. Maybe they were chilling. Maybe they're just going around a ride around the neighborhood. What could happen? Well, the truck that just about pulls out in front of me could pull out in front of them. They smack into it. She goes flying off the back. And I'm going to appeal to a basic instinct in guys specifically. And I know that, 20% of you riders are women. I don't want to exclude you guys. But you look at the accident statistics, and a lot more women die on the back of motorcycles than driving motorcycles, because very few women ride, but a lot of women ride on the back of guys' bikes. So the guys out there, I want you to think about a situation where you put your girlfriend on the back of your bike and you go for a ride, and you don't provide your girlfriend with gear. You give her an old helmet and she's wearing whatever she's wearing, shorts and flip-flops, and she's trusting you to keep her safe. Do you not understand the responsibility you have at that point? Do you not understand how much trust that person is putting in you? And now I want you to imagine not even the worst case scenario. I want you to imagine a medium bad case scenario of you taking a corner just a little bit too fast. If you're not used to riding with a passenger, you need to be very careful the first few times you have a person on your bike, because it changes everything. It changes your stopping distance. It changes how you can corner. It changes how maneuverable the bike is. It changes how fast you can accelerate, etc. You may lean into a corner that you could take just fine by yourself. Well, now you've got a different set of weight on your bike. Oh, and by the way, your passenger's getting a little nervous, so she's starting to lean the other direction. And I have that happen all the time with my passengers. So much so I kind of expect it now. And I try to tell them, don't lean, stay. I try to tell them, stay in line with the bike, imagine themselves as a piece of luggage that wouldn't be moving around. And that's helped. That has helped give them an idea of what to do, because sometimes they don't know what to do. Sometimes they think, oh, well, if he's leaning, I should lean with him. They can do that as long as you have that communication with your passenger. But ideally, they should feel like a piece of luggage that does not move. I was going through an intersection with my partner, and I'm halfway through the turn, and she had kind of slid off of her seat a bit, and so she pressed down on the inside peg with her foot to shift herself over, right? Completely innocent. If we'd been going straight in line, I would have felt it, but it wouldn't have been a big deal. But right at the apex of my turn, slow speed turn, when she put weight on that inside peg to shift herself over, I almost dumped the bike, because that sudden input just gave me a little too much of a lean, right? And I had to really overcorrect. I had to push out I had to push the wheel in really hard to keep us from just dropping. And we would have dropped at a slow speed. I think we were going 20, maybe less than that. The point is that an unexpected movement by your passenger, an unexpected lean by your passenger, anything unexpected by your passenger can be really dangerous. So yeah. So now you've got your bike, and you put your girlfriend on your bike, and you want to go for a ride. Yay, sounds great. Okay, you are taking her life in your hands in a way that is not the same in a car. It's not. If you get your shiny new Camaro, and she gets in, and you are, showing off and riding fast, and you're stupid, and you run into a telephone pole, she has a steel box around her. She has a seatbelt on, hopefully. and she has airbags in front of her, and she's probably going to be okay. So, yeah, whenever you get into a vehicle with another person, you are trusting them with your life. Absolutely. But not to the extent when you get on a motorcycle. When you get onto the back of a motorcycle with somebody, you are very much putting your life in their hands, right? You guys know this. So I want you to imagine that you mess up and you do something stupid and you drop the bike with your passenger. And she's not wearing any gear. She's wearing shorts and flip-flops. And you don't get hurt, but she does get hurt. She tears some skin off her legs, or she gets, a broken arm or whatever. And this is minor injuries. How would you live with yourself? How would you wake up the next morning and look in the mirror and be okay with yourself? Right? How would you do that? I couldn't do it. I put my riders in full gear. I put my passengers in as much gear or more as I'm wearing. I put my riders in as much gear as I have. I have separate gear. I have a lot of helmets. Why do I have a lot of helmets? I have one helmet for me. I have, this is my main helmet, Bell SRT. I'm pretty happy with this lid. I have several helmets. I have a small, medium, and large helmet that are in date and that are good quality helmets. I have a small, medium, and large helmet because I have a lot of different riders that I go with, and I want to have a helmet that fits their head and is comfortable and is not loose and is not going to fly off. I have women's riding jacket. It's kind of a medium, large size. It fits most people pretty comfortably. I have gloves. What I don't have are riding pants, and so I do want to look into that. I want to look into getting some sort of leg protection for my passengers. Because unless they're a serious rider, I don't expect them to come with their own gear, right? I don't expect someone that gets on a motorcycle 2 or 3 times a month maybe to own a lot of expensive motorcycle gear. So if you are going to have a passenger, that person's safety is your responsibility. And you have to take care of them to the best of your ability. So that starts before you get on the bike. That starts with making sure they have gear on as much as you possibly can. Don't let them ride in flip-flops. Don't let them ride in shorts. Jeans at an absolute minimum. And jeans are not very protective, but it's better than bare skin, man. Look on eBay. Oh, box in front of me. Boxes are hazardous. They get slippery. Boxes, you don't want to have a box under your tires. If you don't have a choice, go straight over it. But if you can get around it, don't drive over a box. They are slippery. If you are motorcycles with a passenger, if you put a passenger on your motorcycle, you need to be riding like you have a Fabergé egg with you, because you do not want to crash and have your passenger get injured. I cannot imagine how much guilt and remorse I would feel. If I went down with a passenger and I got completely busted up and they were fine, I would be thankful. I would wake up and be thankful. Versus if I went down and I have all my gear on and I slid and got up and I look back and there a bloody smear on the road because I was too cheap to buy my passenger protective gear, I couldn't do that, man. And I hope that you wouldn't do that either. You are responsible for your passengers, and when you have a passenger, you need to provide them with gear. That's your responsibility as a motorcycle owner. If you want to have passengers, you need to provide the gear for them. That's all I can say about that.